Hello and welcome. So here we are continuing with our new topic, and this topic, just as I promised last time when we were looking at Mali Kingdom, we are starting another topic that is Buganda Kingdom. Buganda Kingdom. So our Form 1 work is now closer to the end. We are getting closer to the end because we are remaining with almost three topics to come to the end of history Form 1. So I hope you have been following from the first topic up to now, up to this topic. I hope you have been, or you are enjoying this work as well. So this time, as we look at the Buganda Kingdom, that is history Form 1, I just ask you to pay or to be more attentive so that we follow each other together. And on this one, on this topic, we are going to have also many names. But as usual, as I tell you, the focus should not be on memorizing the names, but know the functions very well, to say what were the functions of different people in different aspects. So just as we looked at the Aztec Empire when we were looking at difficult names even to pronounce, the Chinese civilization, we also looked at that they were difficult names. So in here, we're going to find many names, but luckily, we'll be able to pronounce those names. We'll be able to pronounce. They are very different from the Aztec names. Huitzilopochtli. Remember that name? Yeah. So here we are we'll have a wonderful time on the Buganda Kingdom. So we are coming closer to our Malawi. So the secret behind it is that as we will be looking at other kingdoms, when we just go to Form 2, you will find that at the end of it all, we are going to look at our own kingdoms, whereby we'll be looking at Nkamanga as well as the Maravi kingdom. From there, then, it will be like we have tackled almost the history of the world. So that's the goodness of history. You don't just study of others, you also study of yourself. So let's be together on this one. Now let us look at the origins of the Buganda kingdom. So this Buganda kingdom, it was situated to the north and the northeast of Lake Victoria, to the north and the northeast of Lake Victoria, and to the east of Bunyoro. That is where it was located. And the Baganda were from the Bantu clans. So when we say Baganda, we mean the people who formed this kingdom of Buganda. The people are called Baganda. So they were the Bantu clan. That's why I said that when we are going to encounter the names, we'll be able to pronounce those names. Other clans claimed to come with the Kintu, or with Kintu and Kanto Chimera. So others, they say, no, this Baganda people, they originated with the Kintu and Kanto Chimera. So other Bugandans disputes this and believe that these, or the Bagandans, they came from the Bachwezi dynasty. So the present clans were founded by Kintu Chimera companions. So when we talk of the origins, all we can say is that the Buganda kingdom was founded by the Ganda people, who were the descendants of the Bachwezi, the descendants of Bachwezi. So that's what we can conclude to say. Buganda founded by the Ganda people, who were from the line of Bachwezi. Now, let us look at the factors. What were the factors that contributed to the rise that led to the growth and the development of the Buganda kingdom? Number one is the trade and agriculture. They traded in ivory. So they are trading ivory, arms and ammunition, food supplies, and slaves made the area to grow and develop very, very fast. So the trade items, we are saying that they were trading in ivory, in firearms, in food supplies, as well as in slave trade. So those commodities, they made these people to grow very fast. So the traders from the coast of the Indian Ocean brought the new food crops. For example, they brought maize, which was introduced in 1862. Cassava was introduced in 1875. Rice was introduced in 1878. So these trade items made the Baganda people, their societies, to grow. Another factor is the warfare and military strength. So there was the Royal Army, which had a very strong standing army, and iron spears and navy war canoes on Lake Victoria. They helped the Buganda to grow. So Buganda soldiers excelled in raids against their neighbors and keeping the kingdom together. And the army under Mujasi, they checked on people's independent actions, while the navy patrolled the lake under Gabunga. So you see the army commanders, they are Mujasi and Gabunga. They had different roles there. And the army and the navy, they were armed with traditional weapons and guns, and numbered about 1,000 by 1872. By 1872, there were almost 1,000 soldiers of Buganda. So we see to it that they were really organized. There were others who were soldiers on the lake. They were fighting, they were patrolling the Lake Victoria there. And others, they were on land, who were checking what people were doing now and again. So on the waters, they designed the canoes, the war navy canoes. That's why we are saying that they were using the navy of war canoes. So they had those things which they were using. Another factor is agriculture. So this one, it was because of good climate, abundant rainfall, and fertile soils, and also variety of crops like bananas, cassava, sweet potatoes. So all this, they increased the food production. So it meant that there was that increase in the food production. So it increased the food production. And this in turn, it increased the population and expansion of the kingdom. So you know, when people they have food, they are free, they think freely, and they are able to increase in population because there is nothing to fear about. And another factor that led to the rise of Buganda was the handmade items from the Buganda traditions. They were making some of the tools. They handmade those things. So the division of labor, women did farming while men were involved in politics, carpentry, smithing, and clothing. So there was that division of labor in the Buganda society, whereby women, their work mainly was on farming. So men were left to do other things like to participate in politics, carpentry, tinsmithing, clothing, and many other things. Stability is another factor that also contributed to the rise of Buganda kingdom. So it was small, compact, and intensely centralized, hence easy controlled. So this made it stable. So clans were headed by the clan heads called Bataka, the Bataka. So what we are saying on stability is that it was very small. The kingdom started very small and easy to control. Hence, there was that stability. So we are saying that the people were organized in clans, and those clans, they are led by the clan heads, who were called by the name Bataka, the Bataka. Wealth and good economy also contributed to the rise of the king. Beans, ivory, slave. So these, they made the kingdom to grow and develop. So wealth and good economy, that is, we talk now of the things that they produced there. There were so many. So we talk of banana, bag of cloth, from the tributary states was also another factor for the rise of Buganda. Buha states, Agwe, Basubi, and Bruzija, and Koki, and other states like Mawagola, Bulemezi, Budu, Singo, and Busoga. Those states, those territories, those areas, they provided good revenue to the kingdom, which enabled it to grow in wealth and size. So when the Baganda, they started their society, they also invaded other places, all the places that we have mentioned here. Now those places, they were paying tribute to them. As a result, the kingdom grew. It grew very well because they controlled them all because of the tribute that they were paying to them. Strategic position was another factor for the rise of Buganda. Lake Victoria gave her good means of transport and acted as a natural defense against the neighbors. So it was strategically positioned whereby the Victoria Falls, the Lake Victoria, it was a multifunctional feature whereby they were using it for transport. It was also acting as a defense from other territories that were to the other side of Buganda. Also, cooperation with the British also led to the rise. Britain gave Buganda some parts of Bunyoro, which it had conquered, and firearms. So firearms and some parts were given to the Buganda by the British, who were already there controlling maybe in that area, especially we talk of the missionaries. Method of choosing the Kabaka was the other thing that led to the rise of this kingdom. The Kabaka, we mean the leader or the king of the Buganda kingdom. So only two men, the Katikiro, that is the prime minister, and Mugema, the clan head, they made the choice. So eldest son from the first wife was chosen to be the successor. If there was no candidate selection, selection could be extended to the second or other houses, or sometimes able men were chosen. For example, Suna and Mutesa were chosen from other people other than the sons of the Kabaka. So we see to it that there was a well laid out method on how to choose the next king. So that one, it suppressed the rising of or rebellions of other relatives of the Kabaka. So it is also believed that what they were doing was that they only when the son has become the king, then all the other brothers, they were killed to avoid those rebellions. Sometimes they were doing that. And also Kabaka's style of ruling was also another factor for the rise of Buganda. So there was a strong central government. The Kabaka appointed chiefs and for royal services. He also took it back for disloyalty and inefficiency. So the Kabaka controlled the distribution of war proceeds. So we see to it the ruling style of the Kabaka also contributed much, whereby he was the central authority. He was on top of everything, and he shared land to his people or his subjects. He gave them land so that when they have proved to be royal, and that land, it was not given permanently. When that chief has been given land, and sometimes he shows that he is disloyal, that land was taken back to say, no, I gave you this land, bring it back because you are inefficient or you are not loyal. So on the other hand, again, he was controlling whatever was captured. The Kabaka was controlling also whatever was captured from the war. So that was the Kabaka, again, his management. Unity and loyalty of clans. Unity and loyalty of clans was also another thing that contributed to the rise of the Buganda kingdom. So the clans were very united and loyal to their Kabaka in the kingdom itself. So this strengthened the kingdom and made it to grow very well. So all the clans, they were united and they were very loyal to the Kabaka. Another factor for the growth is quality leadership. Quality leadership. There was good, strong, and able rulers. For example, Kiabunga, Semakokiro, Junju, Suna, Katerega, and Mutesa I. All these were very strong Kabakas. They were the people who who contributed much to the rise of Buganda kingdom. So they used the citizens and reorganized the administrative system. They united the citizens and reorganized the administrative system. Bunyolo's preoccupation with revolts also contributed to the rise of this kingdom. So while Bunyolo was busy suppressing local revolts, Buganda was strengthening the state. So the creation of royal bodyguard and reorganization of the army. So what we are saying here is that the next kingdom or the neighboring kingdom of Buganda was Bunyoro. So Bunyoro was somehow powerful than Buganda, but inside the Bunyoro kingdom there were the revolts now and again. So that kingdom was busy to put down the revolts. On the other hand, then that gave the chance to Buganda to strengthen the state by creation of the royal bodyguard and also reorganizing the army. So it made Buganda to grow. So when Now let us look at the socio-political organization of the Buganda kingdom. How was it organized? So we are going to look at different or a number of aspects on the organization, on how this kingdom was organized. So it deals with how the kingdom managed its day-to-day issues. That's what we are going to talk about. The first one is centralized system of government. So Kabaka had representatives in the whole kingdom. So the Kabakaship was hereditary. That is to say, the next king was the son of the Kabaka. So Kabaka held immense religious, judicial, and military powers. So he was the supreme leader there on religion, military, as well as legal issues. He had a court in his palace, which was called Lubiri, at Mengo, which was the center of the activities in the kingdom. So he had a courtyard in his palace, and that was called Elubiri, which was stationed at Mengo. So everything that the king was doing, it was done there. So the court also kept all the symbols of the royal authority: the royal drums, the tombs, the spears, the throne, and the stools. So all the royal symbols were kept there at the royal court. The Kabaka married in all major clans to cement ties with all the parts of the kingdom. So what the Kabaka did was that he got married from all the people they conquered, then he got married. The reason was to get united or to unite the people, so that all the tribes, they could feel that we are related to the Kabaka. So that's why he married from all the many different tribes. System of administration. Mind you, we are looking at how it was organized. We have looked at the political organization. So let us look at the system. How was it there? The system of officials and their functions. Who were the people who assisted the king at the king's court? So these were the team of officials who assisted the Kabaka. So number one was the Queen Mother. There was the Queen Mother. So this one was a sister, a queen sister, who was referred to as Ubunga, the mother of the Kabaka, or the eldest surviving sister of the Kabaka, or the mother of the Kabaka. Number two, the Katikiro. Katikiro was the prime minister. And there was also the Omulamuzi. Omulamuzi was the chief justice. Omwanika was the treasurer. Mugema was the senior clan head. And Narinya was a royal sister in charge of the shrines. So she was in charge of the shrines. That was the royal sister, the sister of the Kabaka. And there was also Musenero. Musenero was the chief butler. The chief butler, while Mfumbiro was the chief baker. So there were those officials who assisted the king in running the day-to-day issues. Now let us look at the duties. What were the duties of the Kabaka? So the duties of the Kabaka, number one was to be the head of the state and final authority of the land. So he was the final authority of the land. By final authority of the land, we mean that what he says is the law. It must take place. What he says must take place. And also, he was the head custodian of traditional religion, which was called Lubare. So he was the head. He was the head of traditional religion, or Lubare. Final court, he was the final court of appeal and handled all difficult cases. So when maybe people, they have appealed at all the stages, he was the final, he had the final decision. And he was the one who was handling very difficult cases. And also he appointed chiefs to govern the vassal states. So vassal states were governed by the chiefs that were appointed by the Kabaka. And also he appointed Lukiiko, the assembly that assisted him in making the laws. So Lukiiko, it was the assembly or the council that assisted him. And before he died, he nominated one of his sons as his successors. So he could nominate to say who is going to be the successor. So he could do that one. And also he owned all the land in the kingdom and rewarded the royal chiefs. So royal chiefs were rewarded, and he was the one who was the owner of the land. Now let us also look at the officials. Who were the officials at the king's court? Some of the officials. There was Musenero, was the organizer of Kabaga's beer supplies, was Musenero. And Nkuruze was the head of the Kabaga's treasury, And Batongole, this one was working in the Kabaka's treasury as well. And also, Sabalangira was the head of the princes, And Kimbugwe was the one who looked after the Kabaka's umbilical cord and displayed them during the full moon ceremonies. So he was somehow a religious leader, he was concerned with a traditional leader on the customs that were taking place in the king's court. Now, Katikiro. What was the duties of the Katikiro? So he organized the tax collection because he was the chief treasurer. Tax collection, organized public works, and organized wars, and protected Kabaka during the wars, and informed the Kabaka on decisions made on variety of court issues, and also granted permission to the people who wanted to see the Kabaka. So it was the duty of that council to do that one. So having looked at the duties of the Katikiro, that is the Prime Minister, now let us look at the permanent military as a part of the organization of the kingdom itself. So there was a standing army and navy under two commanders. So take note of that, there were two commanders. So the first one was Mujasi. So Mujasi was in charge of the army, that were fighting on land. And the Gabunga was in charge of the navy that were, as we said, they were patrolling now and again the the Lake Victoria. So commander-in-chief was the Kabaka. So the Kabaka was the commander-in-chief, and the army controlled land, and navy patrolled the Lake Victoria. So the army was on land. The navy, it was on Lake Victoria using those battle canoes. Now let us look at the Lukiiko. Remember the Lukiiko? This one is the parliament or the council. So let us look at the Lukiiko or the parliament. The Lukiiko made the laws of the kingdom and also debated important matters of the kingdom as well. They were there also to advise the Kabaka on the kingdom's issues and presented people's concerns and needs to the Kabaka. So we see many responsibilities there of the council. And also they acted as the final court of appeal in settling the disputes. We have said that after maybe people have appealed in lesser chiefs, they were bringing those issues to the Kabaka. So at the Kabaka's court there, the issues were presented to the Lukiiko, that is the council, who were doing or the settling of the disputes there. And also it directed the tax collection and planned expenditure. They were there to plan also budget how they are going to spend the things that they had. Also, it helped the Kabaka in administration and appointed regents to rule when their heir to the throne was still young to assume the leadership. So the council was also there to appoint who was going to be the caretaker as we are waiting for the next king to come in. So the council, you can see to it that it had a very, very big role. It played a very big role to the efficiency of the Kabaka. Then there were the Bataka. Remember the Bataka, the clan heads? These ones, they were the clan heads and were headed by Mugema. So Mugema was the leader of the clan heads, all the clan heads, the senior chief. So Mugema was the senior chief. So some hereditary positions, some held hereditary positions while others were appointees of the Kabaka. So among the Bataka, others were holding positions hereditary, to say after their fathers died, then they became the leaders. Others, they were appointed by the Kabaka to say, oh, I am happy with what you are doing. Now I have appointed you to be the Bataka, the clan head. And also they maintained law and order because they were the people who were directly involved with the people. And also a collection of tribute on behalf of the Kabaka. They were collecting tribute in their clans or within their clans. And also supervision of the Gombolola chiefs, supervision of other chiefs as well. And also recruitment of soldiers. They were recruiting soldiers from their clans, also offering their sons to work in the Kabaka's palace as the Bagalagala, who were called the pages. We are the pages, the Bagalagala. And also they settled disputes in the clans. They also supplied Kabaka with various items such as food, beer, timber, and firewood. So we have seen here the functions of the Bataka or the clan heads. Now, if we can summarize the administrative units or the hierarchy of the administrative units in the kingdom of Buganda, we can see to it that the kingdom itself was divided into several administrative units. Number one was the Kabaka, who was on top. He headed the kingdom from the headquarters, which was called Mengo. And he had the royal bodyguards consisting of small number of soldiers for his protection. So he had bodyguards as well. And also he was also the political, judicial, and religious head. The Kabaka, as we have said, he was the commander-in-chief of the army, and he appointed all military commanders and senior government officers. For example, Katikiro or Omulamuzi and Omwanika, they were all appointed by the Kabaka himself. He also represented the Sarsa Chiefs. So these ones they were in the countries of Amasaza. And he had a council of chiefs called Loko that we have just mentioned. And that Loko or the council advised him now and again. And he married a wife from each principal clan to strengthen his royalty. Also, we can say that the leading families from each clan, they sent their sons to the Kabakas court as pages, Bagaragara, where they were trained in administration there. So countries were divided into sub-counties. That is Gombola. Gombola headed by Gombolola chiefs. So we talk of a county, not countries, a county. So they were counties like we call the constituency, we can say so. So they were like those constituencies like that. So they were headed by the Gombolola. The counties were called the Gombola. Now let us look at the social organization. The social organization of this kingdom of Buganda. So we'll start with the belief in the supernatural being. So the Buganda, they had a religion which was called Lubale, just as we have already mentioned, whose followers believed in a supreme being. So they were religious people, the people of Buganda. So they believed, they followed the religion of Lubale. They believed in the existence of a supernatural being which was called which was known as Katonda. Katonda was this was referred to as this most supreme, the supreme being, like the God was called Katonda. So Katonda was assisted by other gods and goddesses. So these ones were like Kibuka, god of war and thunder, and Mukasa, the god of fertility. Then there was also Kiwanuka, god of lightning, and also Nawagenyi, was the god of drought. So the Kabaka was the head of religion. So all religion was headed by the Kabaka himself. They also believed in the ancestral spirits. They had the belief in the ancestral spirits. So they believed in the ancestral spirits which had strong influence on close relatives, to say the spirits of those departed people, those died people, they come closer to their relatives. So the spirits were consulted at a fee through the prophets and the mediums. So the prophets and mediums, they were charging something for you to communicate, to tell you what the spirits are saying. So the mediums communicated with the people through Kabaka in the shrines. So these mediums, they had the shrines where they were communicating with the Kabaka through those ones. So the worship of the spirits was there. They believed that the spirits or the dead people, they come back to talk to them. So they had special shrines or worshiping places or communication places with those spirits. And now let us look at the division of society, division of the society. The society was divided into lower class. There were also the chiefs, the peasants who were called as Bakopi or Wakopi, and the slaves who were referred to as the Badu. And there were also some specialists there. So those specialists included the prophets, medicine men, diviners, who were known as the Wasau, and the sorcerers. The sorcerers who were the Valopo, who were hired to cause injury through magic. So you can see those sorcerers were there to be hired so that they cause harm to other people, to say, all right, maybe they crossed words with other people, then they could go to the sorcerer and say, hey, can you deal with that one with magic? Then things were just like that. The sorcerers, or they were the specialists in the kingdom. Polygamy was also there. Buganda practiced polygamy and associated with the high status. All those people who had 2, 3, 4 wives, they were taken to be these people. They are the people of high status, the well-to-do people, because they have a bigger family, many wives. And also the initiation was there. Buganda valued male circumcision and proved full membership of the society. So it was marked by elaborate ceremonies and beer drinking. So there was that initiation ceremony or initiations that were there. So circumcision was done to prove that one now is now a full member of the society. And at the end of that circumcision period, then they could organize the ceremonies whereby there was beer drinking, dancing, and the like. And also, the Buganda, they also emphasized on education. So they had formal and informal system of education. The formal took place during the initiation, while the informal occurred throughout the one's life. So on education, during that period when boys were circumcised, they were conveyed at a certain place for quite long. So during that time, they were taught how to do some other things, how the kingdom expected them to perform other things in that kingdom. So that was the formal education. Informal one, it was taking place now and again throughout their lives, whereby they were learning at home or in different gatherings. In Buganda, there was also division of labor. So labor was divided among the gender lines, just as we have mentioned, just to remind you that these people, the women were special for gardening, for farming. And that one now left men to do other things like tinsmithing, carpentry, and many other works that they were doing. So there was that division of labor. So labor was divided in gender lines. There were other duties that men could do and could not do. The same with women. Now let us look at the economic organization of Buganda. So there are a number of aspects that contributed to the economic stability. Number one was the mixed farming. They cultivated a wide range of crops and kept a variety of livestock. They also practiced crop rotation and grew bananas, which was their staple food, just as we already pointed out. They also grew millet, cassava, maize, sorghum, and sweet potatoes. Those were their major crops. So the Kabaka and rich members, they kept cattle, while goats and chicken were kept by both the rich and the poor. So cattle, it was kept by the Kabaka and only those people who were rich, the noble ones. Another aspect of economic stability was fishing. So it was done on Lake Victoria. So fish was taken as food and the surplus was sold to the neighboring communities. So fishing was also another thing that was contributing to their economic stability in their day-to-day living. Hunting is also, or was also another thing. Hunting and gathering was another economic activity. So they killed animals like buffaloes, antelopes, and wild pigs. So gathering was restricted to collection of vegetables, fruits, and berries. Leopards and lions were hunted when they were nuisance to the society. So lions and leopards, they were like protected species. They could not hunt those things. So they were only killing them when maybe they were causing harm to the society. They were coming, maybe killing goats, cattle, and the like. Then they could start hunting those leopards and the lions so that they get rid of that instability caused by them. Iron working was also another important aspect of their economy. So they extracted iron ore and made it into tools from, they made tools from it. They mined at Budu, one of the conquered territories. So they conquered a place known as Budu, and there they started mining iron ore in order to start making iron tools. Trade was also another aspect of the economy of Buganda. They traded or exported horse, slaves, bark of cloth or bark cloth, hides, and skins. They also imported cotton clothes. They imported guns. They imported glassware from the east coast of Africa, that is from the Indian Ocean coast there. They conducted the barter trade. So the type of trade that took place there was the barter trade, in which cowrie shells, bark cloth, and iron implements were used as media of exchange. So the media of exchange were all those items. Crafts and industry were also other things that also contributed a lot to their economic stability. Basketry, salt mining, weaving, pottery, backcloth making, canoe building, all these, they dominated the crafts in the kingdom. So now and again, there were people who were doing at least other things. They were doing other things at that time, or weaving baskets, making pottery, and the like.